Oh, every time I forget about him. The flash forwards. Yeah, you were kind of close to getting made, I think. It's going to be interesting because we're going to go into obviously the next one of these we get last season. So I wonder whether this is going to be a little bit intense and on maybe a little bit of a cliffhanger. And then season 6. I do wonder if season 6 is more of a post-Breaking Bad timeline as well. I don't know. Theorizing. Is he out of here? Fair enough, yeah. Damn. Why does this remind me of the bar that Walter was at in season 5?
I'm good. Really.
Goodman. She's been very insistent.
I will see you in a few days.
Just a little scarce maybe then for a few days until he knows. Sad, isn't it, when you think of the Jimmy that you see in season 1, episode 1, and seeing this and where he ends up. The path that unfortunately was laid out for him. Yeah, it's back, okay. Why do I feel like he's not waited quite long enough and someone's going to come asking for him and then it's going to end? It's interesting now. We're kind of closing on, the final part of the show, and this is where we're going towards. Surely they're going to be telling this story. We've been getting snippets, flash forwards, all show.
Hey!
Oh God. And we've got to find ourselves here at some point, right?
I wasn't all the way sure, but now that I'm seeing you up close, it's you!
Oh God.
You know, back in the day when I lived in Albuquerque with my ex, I used to see you everywhere.
Damn.
Billboards? On the TV?
That is the problem. He was so famous to a certain point, right? At least in that area.
Come on, man. That is not cool.
I don't like how your body's just lingering in the background.
You know who you are. Let's just get past that.
He's not just gonna let you go, yeah?
Don't worry about it. He just wanted to come along.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to admit it.
What a dicey situation.
Just say it.
Don't trust it, mate.
I really don't know.
I wouldn't. Why do I feel like the guy in the back's a cop?
Better call Saul.
I can't even hear that.
Don't say it louder.
Better call Saul.
Oh, mate, you gotta be so fast out of here.
A little rusty, but you'll do better next time.
What's your game?
The name's Jeff.
I thought he'd ask for money or something.
Anytime you need me, you just call up Omaha United Cabs. Never more than 5 minutes away.
No. That's a danger.
Oh, man. It's great to meet you.
As soon as I hear that, I'm out of there and I never contact you again. Wow, really just doesn't care at all, huh? Wild. You gotta bounce. I love how we're lingering on this now. You know, we're getting closer, I think, to this reality. And the show kind of letting you know that. Lingering more so on this than it has previously, I think. Feels like it, at least.
Best quality vacuum. How may I help you?
An adapter for a Hoover Max Extra
He doesn't do it twice.
Model 60.
Right.
We've delivered to you before, haven't we?
Ooh, good memory. There he is.
And I want to warn you, it's going to be more expensive than the original.
Really, but you'll do it.
Double the price. Will that be a problem?
No.
I mean, that means you gotta convert those diamonds, yeah.
Pickup is going to be in the same place you were dropped off.
I mean, good that he'd do it.
Thursday.
Why do I feel like he's not gonna make it, though?
Same spot. You know the rest, am I right? Mr. Tagvik.
Are you sick of running? Because this is a reset again. It's prolonging this exile that you really hate, innit, mate? Look at this long drawn out look, the way that he's hesitating to confirm, hesitating to commit, hesitating to say yes. It's like, do I really want this? He doesn't. And I think the thing going through his mind right now is it worth it? Should I just give myself in? Is this life worth it the way it is? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. That's from what I remember of these, going through the show. That seemed to be his mindset, which completely valid. You get why it would be that way.
Same spot.
Yeah.
You know the rest, am I right?
Am I right? Confirm, commit.
Mr. Tagvik.
It's not so easy the second time round, consigning himself to anonymity and assuring that he'll probably never get caught, but he'll
my mind.
never have a life.
Yeah.
Right.
You
are not going forward with this.
That makes sense to me. I feel like it's this mindset of like rolling the dice. I'm sick. I'm tired. I'm so tired. If I just go somewhere else, spend this money on this, doing it again, there's nothing to say that the same thing won't happen. And then I'm in the exact same situation. Do I want to keep doing this rodeo for the rest of my life? Do I want the paranoia, the threat, or do I let it go? Do I decide to let it go? Let the pieces fall where they may. If I get caught, I get caught. And have a life. Do you know what I mean? Have as much of a life as you possibly can up until that point. That's where I feel like he's at mentally.
I'm gonna fix it myself.
Are you? Okay. Hey, he's gonna kill the guy. Because, definitely not out of the reach of Saul. And there we go. Damn. And now I guess I gotta wait until next season. I hate it. Hello and welcome to another Better Call Saul Sunday. That's right. This is season 5, episode 1, Magic Man. So we shall see what season 5 holds. Flamingo. Hello. Unsteady breath. Is this immediately after last episode? Are you going to get a reckoning? Is she going to confront?
I know this seems fast. It is fast, but I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner or later, every last one of them is going to find themselves in the back of a squad car. I stay Saul Goodman.
Makes good business sense.
I thought I was wasting a year of my life.
Building a client base. Last season was kind of building his client base for Saul. Yeah, I say kind of. He was, right? What we see in Breaking Bad. He started to build that last season.
When did you decide?
Just now, just back there, just boom, it just hit me. I know. All of a sudden, I've got it all figured out. But I do. This is right. So
she's not okay with this at all. She's very uncomfortable, and I think that's fair because he says this is right, and it's the conviction's so strong. It's interesting, I refer back a lot to Davis and Maine, and there's these decisions that he was making for himself in earlier seasons that were good for him, and him leaving Davis and Maine was him realizing more so what he wanted, what he didn't want, and making a decision to move more towards actually what made him happy, which was a really good decision. And there was this element of like, this feels right, this is good. As we've seen, and I'm not going to rehash it, he's had that taken away from him repeatedly. Last episode, we kind of had the culmination of that and seeing how he could no longer live in that world. He could no longer live in the world that everyone else does because he's not treated the same and he can't make it. He can't do what he wants to do. He can't be free. Not truly, because he's not. But this right here, it feels right. It feels right. Why? Why is that? Because he's realized, he's come to this conclusion that he's going to step outside of that, and that's what's going to make him free. Which, true, not incorrect, valid, but it's also kind of a twisted view on freedom, right? It's not a healthy view either. And as much as I believe him, and I think he absolutely feels that way, it's so sad. And I mentioned Davis and Maine because I compare it to that moment. And both moments are kind of similar in the sense of him coming to terms and really realizing what he wants and what makes him happy. And those two moments kind of compared with one another, and how healthy the first one is and how good that is, and happy and healthy, and how toxic and dark and leading to a bad place, as we know, right? This is. And I think she's getting a sense of that. And that look on her face is like, no, you say this feels right, this feels all wrong to me, which I get, I completely get. And I think really puts into stark contrast the comparison of this moment here and where he's found himself and where he came from in Davis and Maine and that moment, and how good that was and how far he's come from that.
unless is there some angle that I'm not seeing here?
Hey.
If you want me to slow my roll, I can come back and do this another day.
Damn. Okay. This is the thing.
If this is how you're really feeling,
It is.
I say sure.
What else can he do? Like, of course he can do the straight and narrow. He can take a step back from this and try and integrate into society and the world as it is and get as far as he can. But last episode, winner. Can he be a winner in that world? There's a very strong argument that I think I come down on truthfully as well, to say that he wouldn't be. He could live a perfectly happy, normal life within the bounds of the law. He could be with Kim and probably be really, really happy. And I think that's probably the better choice. But he wouldn't be a winner. And I think last episode we saw so much this characterization of he needs to be the winner. He needs to be that, and he can't be that and make the good choice. So it's like, I get it. And I don't think there's any other way, considering who he is, for him to go.
Jimmy, Saul. Thank you, honey.
Thank you, honey. That's very Saul. Sorry, just these little things that are a little bit more telling of his identity, and just Thank you, honey. Jimmy wouldn't say that. I think this idea of Saul Goodman right now is almost symbolic, and it's not quite taken. And like symbolic in the sense of how he's talking about it. But I think truthfully, Saul is who he's starting to become. There might be some elements of it that's kind of an act or putting it on or whatever it might be. I think he's just embodying perhaps more freedom within himself, and it's manifesting itself in this way. And I think that is showing itself in his behavior and his words. And, you know, it does. I mean, you know, from what we see in Breaking Bad and Saul, he talks a certain way, he is a certain way, and that right there was that, I feel like.
You know how many Werner Zieglers there are in Germany?
Tell me. Nice shoes. Really?
I told you I never heard of the guy.
What about Michael?
Oh, he knows Michael.
Like I said.
You. Werner Ziegler, you ever heard of that guy? Ziegler?
No.
That lighting is awesome on him. I just gotta say, dude, you gotta get someone to take a picture of you. That is a profile picture right there.
What about Michael?
Look at that shit. Man's smoldering, dude.
He's a bald gringo, he's in the game.
Yes, he is.
You're good.
Domingo did really, he was a big shot, huh? A little bit.
South wall pouring concrete.
I feel like Lalo's I think he's gonna work it out, you know. He's mulling it over in his head.
Pouring concrete? What's he up to, man? What's he doing?
A couple of scouts on 4th been complaining that this stuff is stepped on.
Stepped on.
Is Gail cooking?
Not going in there! Yo!
So unconcerned. Bright blue shoes, almost a nod to blue meth. The drugs changing, it's kind of symbolic.
At his chicken farm.
You pick it up how?
He's gonna work it out.
Okay, so these are okay.
Really?
But these...
You can tell.
This not ours, man.
Wow. Okay.
You deserve it. But, JMM.
If anybody says anything, I'll just say JMM is my motto.
Just men, mate, I guess.
Justice matters most. Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Saul Goodman is going to give you a run for your money.
Bet he will.
It is so funny how actually like JMM, it's like a repurposing of HHM, almost like papering over it a little bit. It's not important. I got this instead. Just a little bit of a shot. All the more poignant that it's coming from Kim, right? That she got that for him.
What I'm thinking is, still got almost a full pallet of cell phones left, so I'll give them away.
That little look that he did just before he started talking about this, it's like, I've got to sell this to Kim the right way, otherwise she's not going to go for it. And I think he's still very much attached to making sure he says stuff that makes her happy, which, bless him, right? But again, it shows, I don't know, a little bit of an unhealthy streak through this relationship. At least only in the way that he sees the relationship. Because all of the problems, I think, in the relationship kind of stem from Jimmy. Like, sorry, but they do. I mean, we saw an example in this episode how healthy it is from Kim's perspective of something that really shocked her. We saw that last episode, something that she really wasn't happy with. We saw that this episode of him, Saul Goodman, doing all that stuff. And despite all that, and Jimmy saying, like, I can wait if you think there's another angle to play or whatever it might be. If you think there's another way to go, tell me, I can, like, wait. And she's like, no, I support you. If that's what you think you should do, I support you. Do you know what I mean? Unconditional love, unconditional support from her corner of the relationship at all times. Do you know what I mean? So all of the negativity in the relationship kind of stems from him in the sense of how unhealthy I think his perception of it is and his motivation for doing things in the relationship.
Non-violent felonies, 50% off.
It's like, commit 4 felonies, you get the 5th one free.
Her reaction to this, he's ultra monetizing it, ultra salesman in regard to people's lives and taking the profession of lawyer and framing it in a way that kind of cheapens it almost, which I think from what we saw of her arc last season and the way that she went in trying to actually help people and going out of her way to do that and want to make Mesa Verde work whilst doing that shows where her motivation is, where she's at in her head as a lawyer. She's kind of more aligning with Chuck nowadays in some senses, but also, you know, much more kind of morally good, I think. And yeah, him kind of putting it through a sales track, yeah, cheapens it a little bit. And I don't think she's okay with that, right? You see her face here.
And there'll be friends and family too, so you can share them around.
Really?
Also shows, I think coming through this disrespect that he holds for the title of lawyer.
Doesn't that sound sounding like you're encouraging these people to commit crimes?
A little bit, yeah.
They don't need encouragement. Believe me.
Yeah, they don't need encouragement, believe me. Kim, very much on the side of crime exists. It's not okay. I want to make sure that these people coming through the system don't arrive back there. I want to make sure these people are rehabilitated. That I think back to last season and that kid that she was tying the tie for, and it's like, no, jail is serious. You got to make sure you don't get into that system, because then that's all you'll know. She very much with the mindset of like positive rehabilitation, integrate into society, a positive influence after jail. Jimmy's perspective goes more and errs more towards this idea of they're gonna just do it. It's fine. I'm gonna exist in that. As opposed to Kim, who is like, I'm gonna pull them out of that and try and make it better and try and make things better for those people that are kind of in that, and maybe try my best to pull them out. Jimmy's like, it's all right. I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna wade in, and I'm gonna just accept that this pool is dirty and that's okay, and I'm gonna take advantage of it, which I think really goes so far to show where his mindset is and where her mindset is.
Rain or shine, these morons will be out there doing stupid shit and getting arrested for it. Little discount won't make a bit of difference. Do you want sprinkles? Because I'm having sprinkles.
Conflict in ideology.
I'm just worried about how this reflects on you.
Okay.
You know what? When you're right, you're right. Cutting prices. Discount.
And see how quickly at the slightest note of dissension, of disagreement, he's like, you're right. That was so silly. No. You know, that whole thing that I just said that I clearly believe in and it's deep-seated, and, you know, he goes from this sentence, hang on.
Kim, you don't know these assholes like I do.
Kim, let me tell you how it is. No, you don't know, I know, right? And then as soon as she shows disagreement,
I'm just worried about how this reflects on you.
pushes back a little bit, tiny, not even that much.
You know what? When you're right, you're right.
Well, when you're right, you're right.
Now is a desperation move.
I'm being desperate. No, you're right. Really shows where his head's at in their relationship. And again, I'm not going to repeat myself, I just said it, but unhealthy. And he doesn't need to be this way. He can have his say and be himself. Do you know what I mean? It's performative. He's performing in this relationship. He's not being honest, truly. And it's like that gives the relationship a bit of a shelf life.
This is why this works. I go too far, and you pull me back.
That's how you see it. Okay.
Don't you think you're selling yourself short?
Perfect. And now she's pulling, what an interesting conversation. Now she's pulling it back to, I remember what I was saying last episode of Jimmy has this thing. And then there was that moment that I talked about that was very ambiguous, subtext, right? Of he was arraying himself as the bad guy and not really giving himself any credit at all. And there was a look that Kim gave, and I talked about it. I paused and I stopped and I was like, I feel like that look from her was like, you're selling yourself short. Why do you do that to yourself? And we kind of get that confirmed a little bit here in the way that she just talked about it. You know, like a call back to last episode, bringing it back and actually putting words to it.
Don't you think you're selling yourself short?
Yeah.
You worked so hard to get your license.
Value yourself more. And the issue that I'm talking about in their relationship and the way that Jimmy sees it, it stems from him not valuing himself. He's like, no, she knows better. Despite what I might think and feel deeply, if she has an opinion, it's like, no, you're right. My opinion worthless. I don't care. Absolutely fine. Don't worry. Do you know, he dismisses himself so quickly, and it ties back to his level of self-worth that is really not good. A lot of really unhealthy stuff stems from that, I think, in him. And bless her for trying to point that out and be like, believe in yourself more. You worked for this. You earned this, right? And it goes back all the way to when he was, you know, University of American Samoa, and he was working in the mailroom, and that such a huge accolade to considering what he said and how it killed him and how it was so hard and how he didn't take to it naturally and how hard he worked, right? He was in the mailroom, he was turning his life around, he passed the bar. Such a huge accolade for anybody. And I don't think he ever gives himself it. You know what I mean? He needs to learn to love himself a little bit more, which I think is advice that we can all take, right? And again, lovely that Kim is that healthy element to this relationship, and she immediately points it out and she's like, whoa, you're worth something. Like, you have value.
Why this?
Good. Questioning, conversation, talk.
What's not to love?
He's deflecting. He's not really getting into it. Again, not really talking about it, is he?
Kim, I can't go back to being Jimmy McGill.
Good. Why?
Jimmy McGill, the lawyer, is always going to be Chuck McGill's loser brother.
Okay.
I'm done with that. That name is burned.
Quick note, sorry, I'll let it play out because it might be what he's going to say. But yeah, and I think a lot of what you see in him claiming the name Saul Goodman is, and I talked about it last episode, he's carving out his own identity for the first time. Do you know what I mean? So as much as I'm saying it's kind of the unhealthy option, there is some, like, from a certain perspective, it's quite a healthy mindset, just the wrong way to, I think, go about it, right? It doesn't lead down a path that is good, but it's a healthy mindset that's a little bit twisted, right? Because he's finally given himself this level of value, this identity, this freedom, but it's a guise that is going to hurt him. So it's like, it's healthy in one respect, but unhealthy in another.
This is a fresh start. This is how I move forward. And I like it.
And that's going to sell to her.
Sorry. I just can't see it.
Okay.
It's okay. You will.
Okay. Surely with the power he holds, he can just walk in here. I mean, you'd argue he's got to go to Gus first, but...
Did I keep you waiting?
Are all those buildings really full of chickens?
Please sit.
Bossa.
There's a serious matter to discuss.
Okay. And we must do it in dramatic lighting.
You may have noticed that some of the product is altered.
Okay, we're being open about it.
Gustavo will explain.
I have a confession to make, Werner Ziegler. Ziegler became aware of our other activities. The temptation was too great for him to resist.
Cover story.
You know of Ziegler's escape. You know that my man tracked him down.
This shows that he does actually estimate Lalo adequately. He's not just let it go. He's like, no, Lalo's not going to let it go. That meeting that Gus and Lalo had, I think, told Gus a lot. Told them both a lot, but I think he, took his measure. And he was like, no, we got to do something here. And I think he's estimating Lalo appropriately. I just don't think Lalo's going to let it lie.
My shame. I replaced the stolen product with methamphetamine I purchased locally. Some of this inferior product went to your organization.
Taking it on himself.
I must apologize.
Interesting that he takes that on himself. I think he does feel a lot of guilt. And so someone made a comment in my last video talking about Gus's darkness being on show and the irony of how he was acting last episode in the sense of, what he'd gone through at the hands of Hector and how he was behaving in regard to Werner. Kind of a similar situation in the sense of Gus is only here because he had someone he loved taken from him. And Gus suddenly fulfilled Hector's role, in the same way that Hector behaved towards him. Last episode, in regard to Werner, he killed someone's loved one and Margaret went free and now she has to live with that, right? And if she is so motivated, she could become another Gus by all intents and purposes, right? And yes, the comment that I saw last episode drew attention to that and how it does kind of, I suppose, demonstrate his descent into darkness because he didn't so much care about that. There was irony and he's kind of become the thing that he is fighting against, right? But it's interesting because that got me thinking about it because there was anger last episode in Gus's demeanor, his face, and you saw me last episode talking about how I thought he was going to take it out on Mike and he doesn't. And actually what ends up happening is that there's warmth and care for Mike and it's like, okay, well, where was that anger directed? Where was that coming from? And I think you can read it in different ways. I think you honestly can. I think you can read it actually from what I'm about to say, but I think you can read the opposite from it from a certain perspective as well. The thing I prefer though, quite honestly, and I think with his behavior towards Mike and how he acted and what he said and the trust that he showed towards Mike and the warmth he showed towards Mike last episode support this more so in the sense of I think the anger that he felt last episode was that he did appreciate the irony. He did appreciate what he was doing. He didn't like it. He was angry that he was doing what he was doing. He wasn't happy with the situation, but it wasn't directed at Mike. We saw that in the way that he didn't take it out on Mike at all, and actually his behavior towards Mike was really warm. So it's like, okay, that wasn't aimed towards Mike. Where was it aimed at? What was it? Is it just as simple as he's not happy with the situation? It's not an ideal situation, so he's angry and he's keeping that in and he's controlling that to deal with the situation? Or does he appreciate the situation? He feels a lot of anger for it, internal anger, a lot of guilt for it as well. He doesn't feel good in himself for it, but I think the progress that he's made in his character at this point is like, no. What he's trying to achieve here in regard to Hector and the Salamancas is supreme, and he cannot compromise that to the point that he perpetrates the same thing that brought him here, the thing that he holds anger for to the point that he's doing what he's doing. And I think, sorry, I mention it because this conversation here and the way that he's taking it on himself, and I think there's some guilt here. I mean, there's guilt in the words he's saying. He's literally saying that, to my shame, right? This is what I did and I shouldn't have done that. And do you know what I mean? It conveys guilt in his words, and it's easy to read this and be like, oh, he's just hamming it up. It's just a story to get him through the situation and get Lalo off his back and explain it. But I think you could read it deeper. Considering the evidence last episode, and thank you to the commenter who mentioned that because it got me thinking about it. And considering what I've just said about last episode and where the anger could be coming from, the guilt and the way that because he's a very proud person, he's a very powerful person. He wouldn't just do this necessarily. I think he would ham up the story and lie if he needed to, but I think it makes a lot of sense to me that there is some genuine guilt going on here. Whether he's repurposing that, do you know what I mean, in a different way? Because I think he is. If that's the case, I think he is. But the guilt from what he did to Werner and the way that he took a loved one from Marguerite and how he did the exact same thing Hector did. The thing that he holds so much anger, pain, derision for, he's now done it himself. And I think that guilt and that anger and the pain that he did that he feels because he did that. I think you could see that last episode. And now that I think back on it and the way that anger didn't really go anywhere, it just existed. And I thought it was towards Mike, but it wasn't. We have proof that it wasn't. In the final shot, especially last episode, where it's like, okay, their trust is solidified. You know, Gale has that line where he's like, oh, hi there, you're here. You know, it's that thing of like, you're here, okay. And it's the show being like, yes, he is here now. He's in the inner circle. Mike is in the inner circle. He is privy to Gale. He is privy to Gus's inner plans. That is a level of trust he didn't have before. And it's a level of trust that brings him into the circle in a way that we are familiar with, right? Breaking Bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, that anger that Gus was feeling last episode was not aimed towards Mike. So it's like, where was that aimed? And I think the anger was too intense for it just to be... It was very suppressed, but he was staring thunder, man. Daggers. It felt very intense, and it seems too intense for it just to be at the situation. It's just like, oh, this is an annoying situation. We need to sort it. He's a professional. He is very competent. I don't think he'd show that level of anger just because of the situation alone. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, sure, this is a theory, and people might, you know, say I'm reaching, whatever. The things fall into place in this conversation kind of nail it down a little bit more solidly for me, truthfully. I think that's where it's coming from. I think there's definitely an argument to be made for that. Interesting, at the very least, right? And this is maybe his way of atoning, punishing himself a little bit, right? Taking on this... embarrassment.
What construction project?
Just asking straight up.
What?
Why don't I show you?
Simply for me to show you.
When finished, most advanced inline chilling system in the Southwest.
Our product is never frozen.
This is the problem. They don't actually know that Werner specifically said blow in the south wall or whatever it was. That line that Lalo was repeating at the beginning of the episode. They don't know that. Mike asked Werner, what did you tell him? Oh, nothing important, nothing important. They don't specifically know that. And I think maybe Lalo's going to be like the south wall, the south wall. That's not going to make sense for this, I think. This is not going to eradicate his suspicion, I think, is what I'm saying.
A lot of trouble could have been avoided. Yes. There were any
He's looking at the south wall.
Who was following him, and as a result,
Mike
was to conceal his.
Of course he wants to say hi.
Your man, Michael, is that right? I'd love to say hello if that's permitted.
I really want you to say hello, yeah.
Please meet my associate, Eduardo.
I've heard so much about you.
That right. I'm gonna get back to it.
Wow. That explains everything. South wall's gonna look beautiful.
Little nod of I don't buy what you're selling, mate.
Mira, pido disculpas. Sí, eso fue influencia de mi tío. Ya sabes cómo se pone Héctor de...
Using Hector to get himself out of a situation. He's shameless. I kind of love it.
Héctor tiene esta loca idea de que el pollero quedó un poco resentido.
Con él, todo es negocio.
¿Todo es negocio? Como lo que pasó en Santiago, ¿eso también era negocio?
Santiago.
Next.
Hello.
Welcome. Take a load off. So let's talk you.
Saul 1.0.
Say hello to my little friend.
Better Call Saul.
Couple Claymore mines in the trunk. Not hurting anyone. You know, who doesn't want to be His name's Huel Babbitt. Go ask Huel about me. He was facing 3 years. He was facing 6 years.
Unleashed, didn't he? I feel like a lot of last season was him breaking away from Chuck's shadow. I think there's still a lot of that, right? That it was the transition. Chuck died, season 3. Season 4, we come in, but he's still there. And I think we know how affecting he was to Jimmy in a lot of ways that went past the physical, you know, mentally. He talked a lot about when you got on his good side, it felt so good. And we know that he lived off of that and he craved that. What I'm getting at is this, he was this influence on Jimmy that had his claws in deep. And I think regardless of whether he had died or not, season 4 was a lot of Jimmy kind of extracting those claws. I think there was still this presence over him that was kind of keeping him 1 foot in Jimmy, 1 foot in Saul, right? And it was this kind of transitional period as we went through season 4, and now Unleashed, you know, kind of absent of that. Now, there was a little bit of processing that was done, I think, as we came in season 4 into season 5 of Chuck's death. As much as it perhaps wasn't maybe the best, wasn't complete necessarily, it wasn't perfect, I think there was some semblance of closure, of putting it to rest and putting that life to rest. We've seen here that he's like, Jimmy McGill, it doesn't fit, it's not me anymore, it's not going to work in this episode. And it's like, I'm putting that to rest, that's done. I am carving out a new path. I am someone new. I am literally someone new, Saul Goodman, and I am free of all of that now. And I think season 4 was dealing with that. And now season 5, unshackled, lying, doesn't feel Chuck looking over his shoulder. He's not thinking about, well, would Chuck do this? Would Chuck give me the accolade? I think, you know, it goes unsaid that I think there was still that element of Chuck in him influencing perhaps the way that he made decisions. Even if it was just an idle thought of like, Chuck wouldn't do that. If I act this way, Chuck would have been like, oh, well done. And that would have felt great. You know what I mean? And I think there was still some of that playing around in him. And I think the events of last season, how emotion it was so raw, especially towards the end of the season, and how it just blew up, and the catalyst, I think, of him not being given, as much as he was doing all the right things, saying all the right things, he still wasn't given his law license back, what he feels and I think should, honestly, from my perspective, be given, right? Opened it all up, blew it wide open, and allowed him to come to that closure.
Calls me the Magic Man.
The Magic Man, yeah.
Next! Number 1 on the speed dial. That's
small note, but his choosing not to use the coffee cup Kim has given him with the writing of second best lawyer on it. This could be read a few ways. A subtle nod to the division between him and Kim this episode. It was her gift, after all. A subconscious acknowledgement in him that what he's doing here doesn't make him a good lawyer. Or lastly, that he barely sees himself as a lawyer at all anymore. He's the Magic Man.
zip your lip and press the button. You keep your mouth shut. Press number 1.
He's essentially giving him a get out of jail free card.
We've given out our last phone. Whoa. You know what? A special discount for the next 2 weeks. Non-violent felonies, 50% off.
And he went back on it. The thing he said, no, it's too far.
50% off.
Yeah, and Kim's right. Now in these people's minds, especially when he gets a reputation for like, oh, this guy will get you off. Absolutely. Don't worry about it. He'll get you off. Behave. It is going to make people commit more crimes. It is. 50% off non-violent felonies. Okay, well, that gives me license now to commit a non-violent felony. Try my luck. If it doesn't work out, I've got a safety net. It absolutely is going to increase crime. He's contributing to that by incentivizing.
Well done, Magic Man.
I mean,
Just getting started.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's not done anything yet. Oh, these are the workers. I see Kai. Yeah. We're about to find out if they're going to make it out of here.
If you were gonna die, you'd be dead already.
Okay. Yeah, maybe shouldn't have been talking smack about my Kai.
Not a word. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week, not ever.
It's even better if they don't actually know what happened to Werner, because the fact that he's just disappeared, it's enough to carry the threat.
It had to be done. He was a good man, but
Okay, they know. Fair.
he was soft.
Don't say that to Mike. He is not going to take that well. Good. They've got such a good deal. They're being paid in full. I mean, they're being paid for their silence, but it's like, why would you not stay silent? Take the money, live your life.
He was worth 50 of you.
Oof. Hey, good on him for that strength, though.
As long as Lalo Salamanca is on this side of the border, we cannot continue as we were.
Yeah, he does not take it lightly. Fair, good.
Once Salamanca is dealt with.
And I don't think they kill him, because we know in Breaking Bad, I mean, I think, right? I mean, Breaking Bad, they get Jimmy on his knees. Is it Lalo? Did Lalo send you? Something along those lines? Implies he's still alive. And I think, honestly, if Gus did kill Lalo, there's no going back from that. That's a big, do you know what I mean? Hector's not got much power anymore, really. I was going to say he wouldn't let that go. I don't think Lalo, whatever he means by that, I don't think it's going to end in Lalo's death. I mean, he said north of the border. As long as he's north of the border, Goal's got to be getting him back across it, right, I suppose?
So you're gonna pay me to do nothing.
Call it a retainer.
What happened in Frankfurt?
She accepted the facts as presented.
Okay.
She has been compensated.
Compensated.
I would choose my next very carefully if I were you.
Yeah, this was still on you, Mike. Really?
You keep your goddamn retainer.
Okay, dude. Don't be mad at Gus for that, right? I get it, it's a human reaction, but I think it's misplaced. Hello, my man's back. Is he about to see Saul?
Would you care to comment on the Carl Gravenhorst case?
Well,
This is Jimmy's
Would
guy.
you comment on the latest
Yeah.
development? People are saying you're prosecuting an innocent man.
Perfect.
Does the DA's office have something to hide?
Nothing off limits anymore.
Please let me through.
Yeah, he's dressing so much more. It embodies Saul now. It's vibrant, it's bright, it's in your face. He's not hiding anything. This is who he is, and he's there. Loud, brash, brazen.
I'm Saul Goodman, and Carl Gravenhorst is 100% innocent. Kirky DA's office.
You're who? Seriously?
Yeah.
I've got to be in court.
We will meet again.
Wow, you must be really expensive then.
Not at all. Child deserves speedy justice at a price they can afford.
Can I get one of those, sir?
Oh, yeah.
What about me?
Yeah.
We are on the roller coaster, and it is smooth sailing towards Saul Goodman, eh?
5 months. With overcrowding, you'll probably do less than 2.
Yeah, and what I was talking about in the conversation previous in their living room, and the way that we get these ideological tastes of where Kim's at, where Jimmy's at. We see it in front of us here. That scene we just saw and how he's giving out cards. Okay, money, money, money. Come on, I can help you. Low price, don't you worry. I'll sort you out. And then we cut to Kim talking, I think, very calmly, very earnestly. And a guy, his first line.
Yeah, I just don't know.
I just don't know. 5 months, this is good. Let me help you, you know? Very calm, very earnest, very real. As opposed to the playground ride feel of Saul and the way that he's peddling his wares, right? That ideological conversation that I think you kind of, it's there, you kind of see hints of it in the conversation early in the episode and the show showing you.
With overcrowding, you'll probably do less than 2.
And where they're both at.
Considering your prior sentencing guidelines would have you looking at 2 to 4 years. 5 months is really good, Bobby.
That's really good.
So if I go to trial, you'll be my lawyer, right?
Bobby, you do not want to go to trial. But going to trial would be a mistake.
Listen to a dude.
It's unpredictable. At trial, the DA will throw everything at us. You just be rolling the dice.
Yeah, roll the dice. I mean, I don't mean to tell you your business, Miss Wexler, but...
Then don't.
Put me up there, I get the people, the big eyes, they see Lois here and the kid.
Bro, 5 months from 2 to 4 years?
Bobby, there are a million reasons not to go to trial.
Listen to the professional. Interesting, isn't it, how easily Saul, in his get-up and his garb, with the play that he puts on, how easily he persuades everyone around him to take a card, to get people to buy what he's selling. And how in this scene juxtaposed against that one, not only obviously do we get the more obvious, like, okay, his ideology, Kim's ideology, we get him easily persuading a crowd of people to his way, and Kim struggling to persuade this guy to listen to her very valid expertise to do the good thing, to do it the right way. It's almost this idea, this argument of the good thing, as slow and as difficult as it might be, this is the right way to go about this. Whereas the bad thing might be easier and might seem more appealing, it's actually really maybe only perpetuating the problem. It's that kind of argument, debate, transposed onto a show and kind of personified in Kim and Saul.
But it's up to me, right?
Yes, it is, but I'm advising you not to.
How tragic that is.
Years of your life.
But I might not.
Bro.
You don't want to take that risk.
Maybe I do.
Then you're an idiot.
Whatever Bobby says.
No. Oh my god. Another small note, and I nearly said this during the video, but felt it was a bit of a reach. It does feel as if gender is at play here. This man talking to Kim about her expertise not being able to trump his charm at trial, Saul commanding the attention of a corridor of people, then this man's wife meekly remarking that whatever he says goes. It was the wife here that really made me think there was purposeful gender commentary in these scenes. This message that as much as what else is going on at play with Jimmy, Saul, and the power there being a winner, women are automatically not given this power even when this power should come with their station. Talking about Kim specifically here, not the wife, by the way. Kim has had to fight this her whole life, and despite this, climb to where she's got. It really frames Jimmy's troubles and his not choosing to persevere despite his difficulties, valid though his difficulties are, is a little whiny. Different though Saul's and Kim's difficulties are in where they stem from, they result in the same thing: lack of power and the prospect of being unable to attain the rank of winner in society. In this way as well, it's not just the ideological division we see juxtaposed between them, it's two people subject to the same disadvantage in the way they've handled that. There's a lot of strength and sense of self in Kim in the path she's chosen, and she's an example that despite adversity you can still find success. She's also an example here in this scene that this doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the winner, and in another way this proves Saul right. Have Jimmy talk to him. Have him come in.
What'd you get him?
5 months.
5 months? With his priors? Well, he should be on his knees thanking you.
Yep.
You know what?
Yeah.
No.
It's annoying how it's arranging his method as more effective. Not annoying in the sense of like, I hate how they're framing this in the show. Annoying in the sense that this is kind of the reality of our world, isn't it? It's annoying because this isn't how it should be. It's also worth noting the commentary on capitalism in these scenes. Jimmy offering discounts and people lapping it up because they have no other choice. They don't have the money in the same way that other people might, in that they can afford a good lawyer. So his brand of doing things works, whereas Kim's the way it should be, in the sense that she's actually trying to genuinely improve people's lives, isn't selling. Not to mention a lot of the reason these people have or do commit crimes being their lack of financial stability. This is a general comment, but that is generally where a lot of this kind of thing comes from. There's a big emphasis on selling something, on discounts and offers and deals, and the one person that succeeds with this system is the one that most engages with it: Saul. While the show frames Saul as the bad example in this juxtaposition of ideologies, there's so much packed in the subtext of these scenes.
I'm from the DA's office, okay? And I'm pulling his deal.
I don't think so.
We can do this.
He's the client. It's his decision.
She's putting up walls. It's interesting the last few episodes we've had with them and the way that she's been very complicit in the Slippin' Jimmy element to it, and she's bathed in that, taking part in that too, and how actually now she's starting to pull away. And I think the way this episode started in arraying them more ideologically different, we're seeing the effect of that now, and the stark contrast of this and the end of the monologue last episode, and how they were in it together, and how now actually there's a war between them, and it's like, no, this is my way, this is your way, and it doesn't quite mix.
I am not scamming my clients.
But it worked for Mesa Verde.
Jimmy, back off.
Yeah. Okay.
Taking a stand against it, yeah, okay. I think that's kind of as well, I think what's coming through there is that she's taking a stand here, getting angry, pushing back, because I think that's a reflection of how she feels about him going this way. We've seen she's not happy with it. We've seen she keeps saying, I just don't see it. I just don't see it working out. I don't know why you're doing it. Why are you doing it? And now she's getting angry. And she's like, I don't agree with it. Stop it. Get away from me. Get it away from me. I think this is almost those emotions coming to the forefront in a way that's, I don't like where you're going. Don't do this. But I have a feeling she's going to, I mean, he's been watching this whole time. I think she's going to go to them and be like, look, they're going to pull the deal. You got to take this. I think she's going to actually use it. She is. She absolutely is.
Who's that?
I don't blame you. He's an idiot.
He's from the district attorney's office.
And what this is her begrudgingly admitting that doing things the right way isn't always the way to get things done, unfortunately. And it does expose issues in the way that things work.
Taking the deal off the table.
So what? I mean, You weren't gonna take it.
There's a lot of social commentary in this and the dynamic between Kim and Jimmy this episode in regard to what is right, what is wrong, what's effective, what isn't. Should it be effective? Should it not be? Not so much answering that question, any of those questions, just kind of presenting it to you, right? I mean, just making you think, which is important.
I really couldn't say. It looks like they want to make an example out of you.
Yeah, you know what?
I could try.
I don't think she's going to tell him that she did this either, because I think it's personal now. She's got something to prove. It's almost this competition of like, no, my way of doing it's better than yours, and I've got to prove to you that it's better and it's more effective. You know, there's a little bit of that vying, I think, introduced now in the show.
I could do the 5 months.
I'll look into it.
Frustration. Almost this shouldn't be how it works. This shouldn't be how it should work. Is that a new font? Anyway, not important. Very interesting start to season 5. The conflict, I think, of the season really effectively introduced to this season, because it's like, it's almost this thing as you end last season of like, well, everything's going to be great. It's just going to, you know, you're going to have shenanigans, but Saul's going to be Saul. We're going to see him play, and we're going to see Gus and Mike come into their own and be Gus and Mike of what we know from Breaking Bad, right? And yeah, we've got a really interesting antagonist in Lalo in that element of that story, and we've got a really, really interesting divide now between Jimmy and Kim, and the ideological differences I think that they have now, and the way that that kind of bore fruit in that final scene last episode, in the way that Kim reacted to him being like Saul Goodman, and how we've seen that develop a little bit, be introduced this episode, and I suppose that's what we're going to be dealing with. I wouldn't put it past them splitting them up maybe more so this season. It feels right for that now. Somehow. Not sure how they're going to do it. Maybe it just ends because they go different ways, right? Maybe it's not so much a bang, maybe it's more of a whimper. We shall see. But yeah, Magic Man indeed. Thank you so much for watching. If you are not familiar with my channel, this was your first Better Call Saul video, you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing down below. If you want to support me, I've got some links in the description. Early access to all my videos if you're hankering for the next one. Go have a look at my channel page, scroll down, and the ones that are available will be down there if you think it's worth the money. Have a go, mate. If not, no worries, don't you worry about it. But thank you as always to those who do support me. Genuinely, thank you. Thank you for the money that you give to me. It really, really does help me put out the content that I do in the way that I do it, and as much as I do it as well. So yeah, thank you, genuinely. Consider watching these videos here to keep the hype train rolling. Be well. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you soon.